Welcome to UAPB Currents. I'm your host, SHELLEY ROBY INGRAM, and today we're joined by Claudia Carberry, who is a registered dietitian at Jefferson Regional Medical Center here in Pine Bluff, Arkansas. Welcome to UAPB Currents.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
All right. Now, this month is National Nutrition Month. And before we start talking about National Nutrition Month, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you came to be a registered dietitian and how you came to be one here at JRMC in Pine Bluff.
Great. As you said, my name is Claudia Carberry, and I'm the Clinical Nutrition Manager at Jefferson Regional Medical Center. I'm actually from St. Louis, Missouri, and I went to school to study dietetics at Southeast Missouri State University in Cape Girardeau, Missouri on the Mississippi. So that's not too far from here, maybe 3 or 4 hours. And I went on and did a Master's of Science at the University of Tennessee in Knoxville, Tennessee. And that was a public health focus. So I do have a passion for educating and working with the public on concerns that involve their health and nutrition. And I ended up taking a job in Pine Bluff. So we moved here several years ago, and I started off in long-term care, working actually at Davis Life Care on Hazel Street. And from there I decided to get a little bit more clinical, and so I accepted a job at JRMC and eventually took this management position that I'm in now.
Okay, and exactly what is it, because you said you took a more clinical position, so what is it that you do in your position at JRMC?
Well, it's regulated by the state of Arkansas that we see patients that are at nutritional risk during their hospital stay. And so we have a team of dietitians that go and screen and assess patients. And so a lot of what we're looking for with the patients is that they're not losing weight unintentionally, because a lot of times it's going to be muscle mass. And so we look at that with preventing pressure ulcers and preventing falls. And just generally patients that have a better nutritional status are going to have better outcomes, usually a decreased length of stay, decreased readmissions. And so we just play a part in that interdisciplinary team. But we also do things with the public. Right now, the hospital has a program called New Year, New You, and we selected 6 participants from the community, and we're doing a 6-month weight loss program with the Wellness Center and with the dietitians at the hospital. And so we get to do a little bit of both, but we do focus a lot on the patients that are in the hospital.
All right. And part of the reason, I know you said that you had a passion for public health, part of the reason that we invited you to come out is because you spoke at our Rural Life Conference recently, and I think you all did an awesome job working the room and the crowd, and I think they were very receptive to the questions and things that you were talking about, and so we wanted to give you the opportunity to come out and educate Pine Bluff, you know, on a larger scale. So thank you again for coming.
You're welcome.
Now, what exactly is the theme for National Nutrition Month this time, and tell us a little bit about that.
Yes, March is National Nutrition Month, and this is something that's sponsored by the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics, or A&D as it's also known. And this is the 40th year anniversary of this National Nutrition Month. So just a whole month of really focusing on healthy lifestyles and good nutrition. And so this year's theme is Eat Right, Your Way, Every Day. And so we're focusing on eating right, but within your own preferences, your own likes and dislikes, your own allergies, your own lifestyle, your own cultural background, because healthy is not going to look the same for each person. Healthy is not going to look the same for any 2 people. And so learning what your own healthy can look like based on foods that you enjoy is what this is all about.
Okay, all right, that sounds good. Now, what types of health-related issues have you found that people in Jefferson County are suffering from?
Well, unfortunately, Jefferson County has an extremely high rate of obesity. So about 35% of adults in Jefferson County are obese. So that is at least 1 in 3 people are suffering from obesity, which in turn can lead to a lot of other chronic diseases. There's also a 12% rate of diabetes in Jefferson County. And so that means about 1 in 8 adults has type 2 diabetes, which also leads to many other chronic diseases. And so these rates are actually higher than the state rate as well as the nation's rate. So we do have a lot of work to do right here in Pine Bluff and in Jefferson County. All
right. And for anyone who may not know what obesity is or the signs, what exactly makes a person obese? Categorized.
The definition is a BMI of 30 or greater, and so a BMI is basically taking your height and your weight into consideration to see what your weight status is. And so that cutoff has just been associated with the complications, a lot of chronic diseases, and so that's why they've chosen that BMI of 30 as the cutoff for obesity.
Okay, because the obesity leads to other...
Yes, like the type 2 diabetes, heart disease, high blood pressure, and then, you know, like diabetes leads to kidney disease, problems with circulation, problems with eyesight, different things like that. So it a lot of times can spiral out of control if we don't do something to be proactive with the initial problem, which is the weight.
Maintaining a healthy weight. Okay. Yes. All right. Now, those are, you know, some shocking numbers. But what do you think is contributing to the high levels of obesity and chronic disease here in Jefferson County?
Well, for one thing, everyone is just busy. You know, we all have families, friends, school obligations, work obligations, things that take up our time. And so a lot of times our healthy lifestyles, they get pushed to the back burner. We say, well, maybe I'll walk tomorrow, or maybe I'll cook dinner tomorrow. But that doesn't always happen. And so trying to bring health to the forefront and to be a focus on everyone's minds is definitely part of the goal of National Nutrition Month, just because we are also wrapped up in our own lives. And so when we are busy, we tend to grab those easy, convenient, highly processed foods that a lot of times are going to be high in sodium, high in fat, loaded with calories, and contribute to that weight gain.
Okay. All right. Now, for those who are overweight or obese, what's some of the best ways that they can lose weight?
That is such a hot topic. So we all know the media, you know, we don't know if we need to be on high protein, gluten-free, sugar-free, fat-free, you know, all the different diets that come out all the time. Absolutely. It can be very confusing to know what to eat and who to listen to. And so when I hear about those new diets, I always just bring it back down to the goal of weight loss. It's really just an energy balance. So we're looking at calories in and calories out. And that just strips all the things down to the simplest level of just, are you eating more than you're burning, or are you burning more than you're eating? And that's really the only thing that's going to result in weight loss. So you can shift it in two different ways, either by eating less, so smaller portions, better choices, or by exercising more. So going to the gym, walking, taking the stairs, parking far away, you know, lots of different things. But if you can really affect both of those at the same time, you're going to shift that balance and you're going to see weight loss. So that's the key, is really to shift both at the same time. Okay,
all right, we're going to go to break, and I'm going to say that my favorite thing to do, because I try to maintain a healthy weight, is to eat more and work out. I mean, eat more and work out more.
That's my favorite thing too.
That way I can enjoy what I want to eat, but I'll pay for it. I'll pay for it later. I promise.
At the gym, right?
Right. Yes. We'll be right back with more about National Nutrition Month here on UAPB Current.
The average text takes your eyes off the road for nearly 5 seconds. Stop the texts. Stop the wrecks.
Welcome back to UAPB Currents, and again we're joined by Claudia Carberry, who is a registered dietitian at JRMC here in Pine Bluff. And before we went to break, we were talking about ways to lose weight. And what you told everyone is that you have to get rid of just as much as you're bringing in, or more than you're bringing in, if you're trying to lose.
Right, so energy balance. So energy balance will be for weight maintenance, and then shifting it to burn more,
right.
eat less than what you're taking in.
Right. And then in the opposite, if you need to gain weight for some
True.
reason, then you'd bring in more calories than you were burning. Right.
Yes, it's all about that calorie balance.
Okay. All right. That's but what we were talking about during the break, our director, our producer, Randy Kelly, had a question, and he wanted to know about on the daily balance, where they tell you serving suggestions and all those types of things, when they tell you that, you know, it's based on a 2,000 to 2,500 calorie diet, how that applies to, you know, the amount of calories that you're burning. And you actually told us that it's what, 3,500?
Right. So on a, like you said, on a nutrition facts label, it will be based on a 2,000 calorie diet, and that's based on moderate exercise. So just for day to day, but each person is going to be very different. So 2,000 calories might work for some people, but not for others. It's not an exact number for everyone. Right. But to lose 1 pound of weight, it's 3,500 calories.
3,500 calories
yes,
for 1 pound.
For 1 pound. Ooh. So when we start talking about shifting that balance, if you take 3,500 calories and divide it over a week, that's 500 calories a day that you can either cut out of eating or burn off by exercise, or a combination of both. Okay. And so that will result in that 1 pound of weight loss per week, which is a healthy amount of weight loss. Okay,
so that's a healthy amount of weight to lose, is 1 pound a week.
1 to 2 pounds a week. So you could cut back as much as 1,000 calories, either, you know, through exercise and physical activity, and that would be healthy as well.
Okay, so all of you people out there who are upset about the fact that you can't lose 10 pounds in a week, it's not a good idea anyway.
Right. That's a really good point, because a lot of times we come up with these expectations that are just not achievable, and they're not able to be maintained. And so with the weight loss of 1 to 2 pounds a week, that's something you can keep off, and it's a reasonable goal for cutting that many calories per day. And really the goal for weight loss, if you're trying to calculate, well, how many pounds do I need to lose if you know you're overweight or obese, and a good goal is 10% of your current body weight. Okay. Again, if you're overweight and obese, and so if you just do the math, it's your pounds times 0.10, and then that amount will be a good healthy goal. All right. With some real benefits.
Okay. And then you can just divide that out by the weeks and know that losing 1 to 2 pounds a week is what's healthy, not losing 10 pounds a week. I think so many people get caught
have that expectation, and then have disappointment, and that's just not reasonable. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's great. Now, not only is this National Nutrition Month, but it's National Registered Dietitian Day.
It is
Happy
today.
National Registered Dietitian
Well, thank
Day.
you.
Now, why is that an important event?
Again, with the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics, we want to bring to light the nutrition professional. And a registered dietitian, or an RD as it's sometimes referred to, has been through extensive schooling. As we talked about, my own educational background, you have to do a 4-year bachelor's degree, and then also, I forgot to mention, you have to do a 1,200-hour supervised internship, and then sit for an exam to be credentialed. And then after that, it's a continuous process of continuing education. Right. And so really, registered dietitians are the professionals that have been through the rigorous schooling and are able to work in the capacity to help people with prevention, with wellness, with the clinical side at the hospital as well. Right. Whereas the title of a nutritionist does not have those same requirements. So sometimes in the media you'll see nutritionist, and that terminology just does not have as much backing to it. And so a registered dietitian is always going to be the best source of nutrition information. Okay. All
right. Now, what about people with some of these chronic illnesses that develop from obesity and things such as diabetes? How can they follow the theme of National Nutrition Month this month, which is Eat Right Your Way Every Day?
That's a good question, because we do want to focus on people's individual needs. And so if you have a chronic disease, you've got some individual needs,
right.
especially like type 2 diabetes, which we mentioned there's a high rate of people here that do have that. And a lot of times when people are diagnosed with diabetes, they think, I can't have any carbs, I can't have any sugar, but that's not really the case. We can work any food into a balanced diet. So carbohydrates are foods like breads, rice, pasta, any sort of baked goods. All of these foods are going to break down into sugar in your body. Even oatmeal, cereal, things that we know are healthy for us, they're still going to break down into sugar and affect our blood sugar. And so it's a matter of consistently eating these foods and in the right portion sizes.
Okay.
And so we don't want to avoid them altogether. We just want to eat them in moderate amounts throughout the day.
Okay, all right. Because I guess people take extremes when you say do it consistently, and you know, they're like, okay, I can't eat this at all, and then one day they'll binge on
That
it.
is a good point too, and that's where you can get into some real trouble with extremely high blood sugar. Really, a portion size of about 1/2 of a cup of most of those items is going to be appropriate. So even buying like the plastic spoons at the store and measuring that out as 1/2 of a cup, that would be a good place to start, to at least be aware of the portions that you're eating.
Right, and then you can get used to it. You'll know what 1/2 a cup looks like once you've done that, and that'll be something, you know, that you'll be able to work out a little bit better.
Right.
Now, does JRMC offer anything special for people with diabetes?
We do. We have a free class once a month. It's taught by a certified diabetes educator. And so she has a new class for new students, so people maybe that are either newly diagnosed or maybe just picking it up again for the first time in a while with trying to focus on their health. And then she has a class for returning members also once a month, where you can come learn about different topics every month. So you can come month after month and learn all different things, all different aspects of your diabetes care. And then we also have a support group where participants can come and support one another. So we just promote, you know, sharing recipes and ideas, stories. We pick special interest topics based on what they want to learn about. We've done physical activity, hypoglycemia, we do foot care sometimes, different things that are going to be important to people with diabetes. And so it's just a great time to get to know one another. And so, like I said, we do both of those every month for free. If people want more information, they can call me. So if you are interested in the free class or support group, my number is 870-541-3274. And again, I'm Claudia Carberry. So 870-541-3274. All
right, we're going to go to break, but just pay attention to the information at the bottom of your screen, and if there's anyone who needs to contact Claudia about any of the things that we're talking about, or JRMC, then there's your contact information. We'll be right back on UAPB Currents.
Do your part. Visit feedingamerica.org/hunger and find your local food bank today.
Welcome back to UAPB Currents, and again we're joined by Claudia Carberry, who is a registered dietitian at JRMC here in Palm Bluff. And we were talking about the theme for National Nutrition Month, which is Eat Right Your Way Every Day. And we talked about how that can be used for people who are suffering from diabetes, but how does that work for people with other chronic illnesses such as heart disease, or children, the elderly, or anyone who wants to learn how to eat right their way every day?
Well, it's always important to talk to your healthcare provider, because like you said, people with heart disease, for instance, they are going to need to watch their fat intake. So looking at their overall fat, their saturated fat, and watching their weight. So that would be an example. Children, of course, are also affected by nutrition, and in Jefferson County, or actually in the state of Arkansas rather, about 21% of kids are obese, with an additional 17% that are overweight. And so as a dietitian, and probably for most parents out there, that number can be very startling, because that can just lead to a lifetime of poor health and potential chronic diseases. So it is something very serious. And the best thing you can do is just be a good example for your children. So just if you don't eat vegetables, you know, why should they? And you've probably heard that from them at the dinner table. If you know, are refusing something, then they're not going to try it. They have a lot of times the same outlook on foods that you do. And so also just sitting down as a family to eat those meals, having a family meal time where you can have those conversations and try those new foods, maybe even come up with a one bite club or something like that if they've got a food that they're willing to try, but you know, we don't have to make them clean that plate. We can just make sure that they're trying foods. And I think you mentioned the elderly, and that's another special population that a lot of times they have almost the opposite problem, where they've got a decreased appetite, a lot of times a decreased thirst, and so they might forget to get in all those calories and protein throughout the day. They might be forgetting to drink water, and that can lead to a lot of problems, issues with falls and skin condition and overall decline if they're not getting the calories and protein that they need. So eating small, frequent meals a lot of times is going to be good for the elderly population, and drinking even when they're not thirsty, you know, trying to keep some water next to their table is always good.
Okay. And so just as in general, for someone who may not have a chronic problem or just the average adult, how do they incorporate eating right every day? I know one of the things that you talked about is being able to look at your plate and know that you have a healthy plate.
Yeah, there's a lot we can do, because nutrition, even if you're not overweight, you're not obese, it affects your health. It really does.
And those are always the people that think I'm
fine,
good.
I'm fine.
My weight's fine. I can, you know, eat garbage and sit around. I'm not one of those people that gains weight. Right,
and unfortunately at some point that catches up, either with health or with weight or both. And so those lifelong habits are what can really create a lasting health throughout the lifetime. And we talked about, you know, people are just busy, and so trying to strategize for your own life. How can I make this easier for myself? Because we are drawn to convenience. We're drawn to things that are easy and quick, but healthy things can be easy and quick too. I can't think of a more convenient food than an apple. So if you're going to take a snack that doesn't even have a wrapper, you know. So there's ways that you can go to the store, buy your fruits and vegetables for the week, come home, cut them up, put them into bags or Tupperware, and have those ready for your meal on Monday, or have them individually portioned so that you can grab them for your lunch and go. There's a lot of different ways that we can think ahead and plan when we know we're going to have time to cook. Saturday and Sunday for most of us are going to be our days off. So plan a few big meals and have some leftovers, or even plan some meals and freeze them in individual containers in your freezer so that you can have something to grab and go that's going to be a good choice.
Okay. Now, before we wrap up, what are some just basic tips about nutrition that you'd like to tell the public of Pine Bluff, of Jefferson County, while you have the opportunity, so that they can, as a preventative health way, because I know you care for your patients, but you don't want to see so many of us come out to the hospital if we don't have
That is so true. I love patients, but I don't want you to have to be a patient. You know, nobody likes to be sick, and the biggest thing, kind of just going back to looking at your plate. So there's a website that's really good. It's www.myplate.gov, and that is something that the USDA has put out, and it's an image of a plate and thinking about splitting it in half. So if you split your plate in half, you want half of that plate to be vegetables. So it doesn't have to be the same vegetable. It could be a side salad and some steamed broccoli, or it could be all steamed carrots. You know, it can be whatever you like, eating your way. But half of it should be vegetables at your meals.
Half the plate should be vegetables.
Half vegetables.
Okay.
Then the other half of the plate, you want to split it in half again to have 2 quarters.
Okay.
So 1 quarter should be a carbohydrate or a starch. So like we talked about, rice, pasta, potatoes, barley, different types of starches,
Okay.
About a half of a cup in that
now,
quarter.
you notice she said potato. That potato doesn't go on your vegetable side.
That is true, because it's starchy, and preferably we don't want that potato to be fried. We want it to be baked or boiled. And then the other quarter should be a source of protein.
Okay.
So maybe a lean beef or lean pork, could be a chicken breast, it could be tuna, salmon, some sort of fish, but some sort of protein. And then with that plate, so half vegetables, starch, and meat, you can have a low-fat dairy, so either skim or 1% milk. And then if you're still hungry, have a piece of fruit.
Okay.
Okay, so that would be just the ultimate goal, really. And it's an easy check that you can do every time you sit down to eat. You know, am I meeting that goal of my plate?
Right. Okay. Yeah, that does seem pretty simple, and I think that that's something that everybody can probably incorporate into their diet. And maybe if you do that on 5 days out of the week, then on Saturday you can have a cupcake on the side of the plate.
Now we know you like cupcakes, right?
If you're gonna throw a walk in.
Yes, so always trying to balance that out with the physical activity is a good idea.
Right.
Definitely.
Right. Okay, well, thank you so much for coming, Claudia.
Thank you.
Tell the audience how they can contact you at Jefferson Regional Medical Center if they want to know anything about any more of the programs that you all have.
You can call me at 870-541-3274, or you can email me at Carberry C, which is CARBERRYC at jrmc.org. O-R-G.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks so much. You guys will be seeing Claudia again. Keep your eyes open. Yeah, we're gonna have her on all kinds of shows because we're gonna get Pine Bluff and Jefferson County
That's
healthy.
right. Good. Thank you.
Okay. And we will see you next time on UAPB Currents.